Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology. Blacks in Technology.
Welcome, everybody, to the Blacks in Technology Big Tech Talk podcast. This is episode number 105. Sorry about the delayed start. We had a few technical difficulties with one of our platforms that we use for recording. So hopefully people are still with us and we can get on with this podcast. This is a show where we talk to people of color who are engineers, innovators, educators, inventors, change makers, and entrepreneurs doing amazing things in the world of technology. This podcast is where they share their stories, experiences, ideas, knowledge, and perspective on tech with the BIT community. I'm your host, Greg Greenlee, and tonight is, what is tonight? February 16th, 2017. This is the second podcast of the new year. We've gotten off to a bit of a rocky start with these technical difficulties, so hopefully we'll get all of that worked out before the next one. But thanks for staying tuned in, and let's get rolling. So if this is your first time listening, you can check us out at www.blacksintechnology.net. You can also find us on the Twitters, and it's at Black in Technology, and that's BLKINTECHNOLOGY. We are also on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Blacks in Technology. We also have a LinkedIn group under Blacks in Technology, a Slack group as well. Just check out our website. You will see at the bottom of the page the link for Slack. And what that is a form that you will fill out, because Slack is an invite-only thing. It's a form where you would get an automatic invite. So go there. We have, we're close to over 800 members in our Slack channel. So our Slack channel is very, very active. A lot of conversations going on in there dealing with technology, entrepreneurship, social issues, you name it, we're talking about it. Check us out there on Slack. So who is BIT? Who is Blacks in Technology? We are a tech-focused community and media organization focused on increasing diversity in technology through visibility and participation of people of color in tech. We are always focused on forming new partnerships and opportunities to assist our members with their continued professional growth and development. So if you would like to partner with us, send us an email to contact us at Blacks in Technology, and all general inquiries should be sent to that same email address. Contact us at blacksintechnology.net. A couple of announcements, really just one announcement here. Closure West is going down March 30th through the 31st at Portland, Oregon. We have a very close relationship with the Closure West organization and that community. We always have a pretty nice turnout with our Blacks in Technology luncheon that's going on. I'm pretty sure that's going to happen again this year. And we are giving away free conference passes to Closure West. So if you are in the Portland area, you're a part of the BIT community, you'd like to attend, and like to learn a little bit more about Closure if you're not already exposed to it, shoot us. I think there is a form on our site. Just do a quick search on our site for Closure West, and you'll see the article about it. Or actually, it's there on the front page right now. In the sidebar there, check us out. Fill out that form, and we will definitely get back to you on conference passes. I think we have, 3 to 5 conference passes to give away. And I think 3 to 5 of them are still available. And it's, we're kind of running out of a little time. So you want to get those entries in as quick as possible. All right. Now let's get to our guests. And I want to thank this person for not only coming on to the show, but being patient with me during these tough technical difficulties. I want to welcome to the show Amanda Spann. She's a marketer and app entrepreneur on a mission to help fellow founders build and accelerate their brands. So welcome, Amanda, to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No problem. Thanks for sticking with me. I know that was it was kind of brutal. That was like 45 minutes of testing, and stuff just wasn't working.
No worries. I mean, it happens. I anticipated. I almost anticipated at this point. So, part of the game. But you just be flexible. Keep it moving.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Amanda. To give us a little bit about your background, where you're from, what your education is, those type of things.
So I'm originally from Jacksonville, Florida. Born and raised there. I ended up going to college at Florida State, undergrad in Georgetown, grad school. But when I came out of school, I was working as an entertainment publicist. So it's funny that I've made this kind of rotation into tech. About 2 years after after 2 years of being an entertainment publicist, I decided to start making a transition into technology and work on startups and consumer tech products and consumer electronic products full time, and here I am today.
Excellent. And just a little backstory on how I met Amanda. I know it was probably kind of like out of the blue for her, but and we'll get into the history behind Black Girls Hack and everything here in a second. But her and another young woman, Kat Calvin, was actually they had put on an event. It was a hackathon that was happening down in Atlanta, and at the time, Blacks in Technology had launched. What we were doing at the time was setting up kind of a media portion of Blacks in Technology. We had the community portion, and I wanted to give people a little bit more as far as covering the stories that other people weren't covering when it comes to people of color in tech. And so we had the Bit Tech Digest, and I ran across the event that was happening in Atlanta, and I'm like, hey, that would be cool to come down there and cover the hackathon, cover some of the people, the participants that were involved with the hackathon. And I don't know, I think I sent out, I don't know, an email to you, or I reached out somehow. And I was like, hey, I want to come down there and cover it for the Bit Tech Digest. And she welcomed me down there, and got down there and took my wife, had a fabulous time down there covering the hackathon and everything. So that's the backstory on kind of how we met and everything. But tell us, how did you
want to know something?
Yeah. Go ahead.
You want to know something interesting about that that hackathon? The winner of that hackathon actually just completed Y Combinator with the same idea. So the project we built at that hackathon, she's obviously made some iterations from it and everything since then, but she actually just completed Y Combinator this past summer.
And which participant was that?
Alma Marfo from Air Affordable. It's like a layaway.
Right.
It's a platform that essentially allows you to have layaway for flight.
Right. I think I interviewed her after that. I'm pretty sure she's
you did interview her.
Yeah.
So she just completed Y Combinator. So she's still going. She's doing great, making lots of sales, and lots of people on the platform. So it's a really great thing for her and her company.
That's awesome. Because I got her on I'm pretty sure I got her on a podcast after the hackathon, and we got on there, we talked about her idea and everything like that. And I thought Paul Judge kind of, and was he involved in investing in her, or do you recall?
I don't think he invested in her.
Okay.
But he I don't think he invested in her, but he was a judge at the hackathon.
Right. I thought he reached out to her somehow. And okay, well, but that's cool. He
might have invested it since then, but not that I know of. I don't want to say that he did, but he did. But I know he was a participant at the hackathon.
Yeah. By the way, Paul Judge is probably the smoothest dressing engineer that you'll ever see. Um,
Yeah.
so,
He's gonna show up in like a fur coat and some Yeezys or something.
right. So how did you actually get in? I know you said that you went from kind of like the entertainment industry into tech. So how did that transition happen?
Well, I just decided. I mean, I kind of always had an interest in technology, but I felt like I couldn't do it if I wasn't, a technical developer, or if I wasn't on the technical side of things. I didn't have a background in IT. So what I ultimately decided to do is just start self-educating myself on the space. And, every day I would either, get on the computer, go to the library and check out books, or just print out material on working in technology, assortment of different roles in technology, what mobile marketing looks like, success tactics in marketing tech products. And so I started to self-educate myself. But then when I went to Georgetown, I had a really great opportunity to work with a lot of my professors who were working for tech companies at the time during their day jobs. And I gradually started to make the transition and start picking up all tech clients. So, it came quicker than I thought it would, but I think I just kind of showed a dedication to just really learning about the space and self-educating myself. And it took me pretty far.
Excellent. So when we met a few years ago, that was actually, what was that, 2012, I believe. So about 5 years ago, a little bit over 4 years ago. It was you, it was Kat Calvin. You guys were part of, at that time, it was Black Girls Hack, which was renamed to Blerdology. So tell us what that was. What was Blerdology / Black Girls Hack, and what was its goal at the time?
So Blerdology's goal, Blerdology is a social enterprise to increase the number of African Americans in technology, and we kind of started it for almost selfish reasons. We each had an app at the time that we were working on, and so we wanted black female CTOs for our company. So we had met at a tech conference, and then we decided to throw a hackathon. So we knew that both of us lived in D.C. at the time, actually, but we decided to throw the hackathon in Atlanta because we believed we would find the most African American female developers in Atlanta. So we threw the event there, and at the time we didn't realize it had never been done before. We didn't realize we were the first group of people to throw a hackathon specifically targeting African American communities, and we just threw it, and it turned out to be wildly successful. And we ended up going on the road and recreating the event in lots of other places.
Excellent. So it's interesting that dynamic kind of was going on, like that was the atmosphere, right? Because you're in Atlanta, which is where the hackathon was at, and so there's some pretty big name schools, technical schools, Georgia Tech, and there's a few others. What in your opinion, what do you think? Why do you think that something like a hackathon or some type of event of that nature had not happened in that area up until then?
Well, I mean, the Atlanta market has really, really evolved over since. I mean, I actually used to live in Atlanta prior to that hackathon, maybe like 2 years prior to living there, to actually hosting the hackathon. I actually lived there. And I think the ecosystem was there, but it was a slow cook, right? So Gotcha. It took somebody like, Paul Judge and, his team over at Tech Square to kind of come in and put the funding, money behind it, and, really let, Atlanta know, and the mayor and the rest of the city know that, hey, we produce here too. So I think Atlanta was always working on things, and I think it's always been a big hub for entrepreneurship. But I think someone just kind of had to harness that idea and put some dollars behind it. and
Right.
put marketing and visibility behind the work that was already being done.
Got you. And in Atlanta is mostly known, despite the the some of the most notable colleges there, but it's mostly known as kind of an entertainment area, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So is Blerdology still in existence right now, or?
No, we parted ways with it a while ago,
Gotcha.
a few years ago. But I mean, I'm still, doing hackathons from time to time. So I may be working on one in the next few months.
Nice.
But yeah, we decided to kind of go separate ways with it because we just had different visions for where the company was going, and we also had other projects we were working on, so
Right.
it just made sense at the time to kind of let it be. And there's other people doing hackathons. Now it's great to see people doing hackathons all over the place now.
Right.
But and it's weird because I don't really consider myself like a trailblazer in that sense because it was just something that we needed to do.
Right.
But it is great to see so many other people doing them now.
Right. It's funny. I kind of feel the same way with just with the big community and the podcast and things like that. I don't see myself as a trailblazer, but I love seeing other people, other Black people get into this space, right? The podcasting, the featuring and covering, stories and people that are doing amazing things in tech. And I see more and more of that happening. More and more people coming out with podcasts. More people coming out with different communities. I know there's a few notable ones out there that are, and I just like to see that participation. And that, to me, at the end of the day, that's kind of that's what it's really about. So tell us a little bit about you have Blerdology. You started it up. You did some amazing things with it. Tell us some about some of your big successes from Blerdology.
I think our prize is the biggest thing that came out of it is, obviously I'm being able to complete Y Combinator, that, especially because that was our first one and it really, set the tone for the rest of it. But we were able to probably touch, in each city we did one, and we were probably able to touch like 3 to 6 startups, and they're all in different phases now. But I think one thing that was probably most significant about it is that it allowed people, and this is why events are so important, is because it allowed people to finally have a space where they can, see other faces like theirs who share the commonalities and interests and career paths as they did. Because oftentimes people, work in the space, or at least back then, a lot of these affinity groups, a lot of these, meetups didn't exist. So
Right.
people were, on their own. Maybe the only person that looks like them in their organization. And so we really had to kind of dig deep as far as the marketing and outreach and engagement was concerned, so that we could reach people in places that, people don't normally go and people don't really reach out to. So I think, a lot of those people are still in contact with one another. They've built camaraderie. Some of them have gone on to work together, build companies together. And I think that degree of fellowship is the best thing that we could ever hope to see out of it.
Excellent. Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely agree with, just people. It's funny. I always talk about, or I always mention, like, the power of the collective, right? And the power of community and what that can do for a person's just confidence in themselves, just their mentality as a whole. When you're able to be around people with that have and people that look like you and that interaction and that engagement is huge. Just coming out of the Slack channel, the number of people that are constantly saying, I love this community. I thought I was alone and I'm not, and this feels great. That alone is huge in itself. So I definitely understand where you're coming from when you talk about that. Excellent. So what about failures, right? We always talk about startups, and then we talk about people starting their own companies, and talking about the failures of the company and how that's a learning experience. Did you have any of those with Blerdology, and if so, what did you learn from them?
Yeah, I mean, I think with Blerdology, the challenge was that we were an events-based company, so figuring out the right monetization strategy around that. At the time, it was so early in the kind of the hackathon game, especially for minority and diverse markets, that people really didn't see the values in, and so it was kind of a harder sell for some people, for some tech companies who had kind of been doing hackathons prior to that. They understood it, but for a lot of the newer companies, they didn't really see the value or how that was an engagement vehicle. So figuring out how to monetize that was a struggle.
Gotcha. And and after you've been through the hackathons and what's your? Do you think that they're? How can I put this? You obviously see value in the hackathons, because you stated that you were putting another one together here soon. Some people don't like hackathons, though. What's your opinion on kind of that? I guess that mindset towards hackathons. What's the? Let me ask you this: what's the value of hackathons in your opinion?
I think the big thing that comes out of them is especially when you have a group of people, from all different sectors and spaces coming together to work on something, is the diversity of thought, right? So typically when people hire people within a company, they're hiring them because they're like-minded, right? They think in the same way, and they're moving in the same direction. But sometimes what you need in order to keep innovation fluid within your company and to stay on the cutting edge and to actually solve problems is someone who thinks a little differently than you. So being able to put all of those people in one room, it really challenges your ideas. It really pushes you to go a little further, and it really causing you to see how much you can really get accomplished in a set amount of time. So I think that they're healthy challenges in some degree.
Got you. So, why do you think that people are giving some hackathons a bad rap? Do you have any comments on that?
I think the word is just being thrown around a lot now. So people are, throwing the word hackathon or hack on everything now, right. Which is, you can modify it, whatever, and people remix things all the time. There's nothing wrong with it. And it's not for everybody. Not everybody likes that environment, right. Which is fine. It doesn't bother me any.
Right. Yeah, I've had some conversations around that, and some of it comes down to people questioning the I guess the benefits of it. I like it, and it's for people of color simply because it's not something that we've been accustomed to doing, right? And And what I mean is, it's not as widespread in our communities, and to introduce people to tech, right, to ideas, and how ideas are how an idea is taken from just the fruition of the initial state of an idea to maybe a MVP is something that you can definitely experience at a hackathon, and I think that type of experience is something that people within our community can benefit from, right? Especially when it comes to younger people who aren't necessarily exposed to that type of thing as much as their white counterparts or Asian counterparts, and they're not for sure. I think it's a really good benefit, especially when it comes to younger people being engaged and being involved in that entire process of taking an idea all the way to an MVP, to some type of prototype. So I like it for that reason. So you are an app entrepreneur. Tell us about some of the apps, and I've seen some of them. Facebook, some of the social media sites, Facebook, Twitter. Tell us about some of those apps and how you actually got into the business of becoming an app entrepreneur, I should say.
Well, when I started Blurology, the reason I started it was with the intention of launching my first app, but it was a fashion app. At the time, I actually never built it because Blurology took off and it took on a life of its own. Right. But since then, I've released 3 apps, and I have a 4th coming very soon. The first app is called Alchemy. It's a drink spotting app. It essentially helps you find interesting cocktails and amazing places to have them. It's for iOS, and it does pretty well. It's just a drink spotting app. It's with craft cocktail culture like increasing and that movement growing, and people wanting curated experiences, I kind of thought I'd do that because I think a nice drink is an affordable luxury that everyone can access. From there, I did 2 other apps. One is a wallpaper app. It allows you to decorate your phone backgrounds and your group chat backgrounds. And then the 3rd app is a Facebook downloader app. So I'm sure we've all been on Facebook before, and you want to pull some content off, or you want to share a photo, you want to share a video. This app allows you to do that. It allows you to pull that content off and save it to your phone. And then the last app is a game that I'm partnering with a few people here in Chicago with. And it is a word guessing game, and I'm really excited about it. We're nearing completion with it, and so it should be on the market in a couple weeks.
Well, congrats on all your apps and the creation. So I have absolutely 0 apps, by the way. So it's interesting when I hear people.
Maybe it's time to you to start one.
Hey, maybe it is. Maybe I'll come to you when I come up with some type of idea. So, but that type of thing always it always interests me, right? Because I always wonder when people can come up, not just one app, but you have multiple apps. What's your process around coming up with an app or an idea for it? Is it just something that's a necessity for you at the time? You're just like, oh, that would be pretty good to be an app. And how does that whole thing work out with you?
Well, a lot of times it's just I'm just going about my everyday, and I see a problem, and then the way I think about all products, not just apps, is I see a problem, and then I'm like, okay, well, how can I fix it? And then I think about how I can fix that and what that would look like as far as a product. a product is concerned, and then what is the best way to deliver that product, whether that's a web app, a mobile app, a website, or so forth, based on the target audience. And then I start thinking about, well, is the audience broad enough for this actually to make money? Like, is
Okay,
there a big enough market here for it to
before you
actually
go
be successful?
Before you go any further, sorry to cut you off. Let's go back just a tad bit, because I want to kind of get into the nitty gritty of this process. So, you see a problem, right? And you think to yourself, how can that problem be solved? So, in your process, are you then going back to your office, and are you whiteboarding this, or are you writing this down on paper? And then take us through those steps and get kind of get into the nitty gritty of step by step. Is it whiteboarded, or what, or are you writing this down on paper? Like what's the process for that entire thing?
It's generally all in my head at first.
Right.
I typically don't. I mean, I write a lot of stuff down. Like anytime I get a thought, or throughout the day, I typically tend to have a notebook with me. And if you look inside of it, it just looks like chicken scratch everywhere because it's just random ideas.
Right.
But when it's still in the ideation phase, it is mostly in my head, and then it's me kind of running it by like my focus group of friends. My they're almost like my advisory board, running it by them and seeing where are the problems, where are the holes in this idea, and sometimes it's I don't think people will purchase that, or people don't me having to think about, well, that's not how people consume this type of data or product or content in this way. So when I think about product development, I very much put on my marketer's hat first, to think about how big of a market is this, how big of a problem is it, and is it that enough of a problem for people to pay money to solve it.
And so, is there any market research that at this phase that you are conducting? Or
Yeah.
So what?
So if I think the idea has legs, or I think it's a viable idea, then I immediately go in to research it. So typically, I get stuff in my head, and then if I think, okay, this could actually work, I start doing some research on what other products might be in the market and what currently exists to solve this problem.
Gotcha. And then what I guess so. These are mobile apps that you're coming up with, correct?
Mhm.
Okay. Interesting. So that's good information. The one thing that I like to do is kind of get down to the nitty gritty of what's going on and allowing your answers to kind of be resources for other people that may be listening in. If they are getting caught at a certain stage, maybe what you're giving them can help them, get past that hump, so to speak.
Yeah.
So excellent.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: what has your experience been like as far as being a woman of color and taking an app or an idea, or taking an app from an idea to get it in the market, possible funding, that type of thing? How has that experience been?
Well, I mean, there's a couple different things. I mean, overwhelmingly, I think people have been overwhelmingly supportive. Like, people really want to see my apps do well. They want to support me. They want to see, my businesses thrive. But I think there's a misconception that's really put on African American founders, not just females, just all African Americans, is that there's this notion that, okay, you build an MVP, then you raise, right? Like you immediately start raising funding or finding the investors to kind of get you to the next level. Where there needs to be a bigger push and more education around self-acceleration, teaching people how to build, like to pursue ideas that are strong enough on their own in whatever way you build them to ensure that you'll be able to get a sale. And then once you're able to get a sale, you're able to self-sustain. And then when you need to scale, that's when you start bringing in investors, like when you want to take your business to the next level. But for the first few months, you should be focused on self-acceleration. And I think that's a big piece that I missed with Alchemy. It's a big mistake that I made. And it's a big mistake that I see a lot of other entrepreneurs make, just trying to jump right in and pitch for funding. And I know it's a difficult thing for them to kind of abandon because not all of us have that family and friends buffer where we can depend on them for additional funding and stuff like that to bootstrap our projects. But, we really need to think about it because I think you can't fully focus on growing out your product to what you need it to be if you're distracted by being obsessed with raising money.
Right. And totally understandable and great advice. Because education around this topic, is something that we sorely need as well, because you do see a lot of people out there that are instantly trying to get funding and without having any type of market behind kind of what they're doing, or they don't have. When I say market, I mean they don't have any existing sales, kind of pushing that. And for us,
right. So, like, if you don't have sales, then why would an investor be interested in you? And that's
exactly
the thing. Like, I mean, you may have a great idea, but if you don't have tons of users, you don't have sales, you don't have traction, they're not going to be interested in investing in you. And this is where, like, there's a new roadblock, right? Like, even if you do have the capital to build the MVP and you've gotten yourself to this place, and that's wonderful, that's fantastic, but you can't get any further, and that's even more frustrating. And I know it's a pain that I experienced with Alchemy. I had to learn the hard way. Mm-hmm. Alchemy, for Alchemy to go to the next level, we're going to likely need an investor or to make some serious iterations to them. It's great how it is right now, or what our customers want, but they have other desires too, and they aspire to see it scale and grow. So we have to think about best next steps for it and going back to the drawing board with it. And I'm trying to avoid those mistakes with my game now, and figuring out the best way for it to self-accelerate and to be self-sustaining on its own without leaning on an investor or an angel or a VC or even, the support of a accelerator or incubator to get us to the next step.
Gotcha. What I would like to see is our community, more people from our community getting behind our ideas and our creations and our innovation, and pushing it, right? Like really pushing it. It's one of the reasons why BIT started doing Startup of the Week. And there are people that are it's so funny that this dynamic even happens, right? That you have your idea, you have your app, and it just seems like it's so. For instance, Blacks in Technology is a platform for getting exposure. We tout ourselves as a community and media organization, and so what we like to do, is what we're doing right now. We're giving exposure to people that are doing amazing things in tech, whether that's through our podcast, whether that's through featuring people on our blog or Startup of the Week. And I would just like to see more people apply to that, right? Come to Bit Startup of the Week and really try to get a push from the community. I would love to see more people in the community push these ideas and push these entrepreneurs so that we can be sustainable as a community. I don't know. I have my thoughts on this whole thing. I kind of frown on just always wanting to run to Silicon Valley or VCs or that type of thing when it's like, hey guys, like we have spending power in our community and we need to get behind our own and help our own out and maybe one of these apps or one of these ideas can be the next $1 billion idea if we just push it. So I don't know. That's my thought. That's my rant.
I totally agree with you, and I have a lot of ideas around that too. But I'm trying to do one step at a time. But gotcha. I think I may have a solution for that too.
Oh, okay. Hopefully, when you come out with it, you'll come back on Bit and we'll talk about it.
Yep, for sure. I'll be back.
Excellent. So let's talk about Spann & Company. You're the founder of a Spann & Company. Tell us a little bit about what it is Spann & Company does and what's the goal behind it.
So the goal behind it is, like I said before, to kind of, or how the interview started is, mentioning that, I help aspiring and emerging entrepreneurs. So I'm a publicist by trade. And when I recently left my corporate job, I got back out in the market. People were wanting, for me to represent them. And, what I noticed was, the same problem I had seen years before when I was first launching my app is that, people wanted representation, but they weren't they couldn't afford marketing yet. They weren't in a place where their business could lend enough as far as revenue is concerned to bring other people on, or they just weren't ready yet operations-wise. And so I started thinking there's a huge opportunity here to support aspiring emerging entrepreneurs who have great ideas but need tips, tools, and resources and programming around learning what this ideation work, learning what they should be doing during these early phases of the company to ensure long-term sustainability and growth. And so I started with a suite of ebooks called Launch Love, and they're a series that, is affordable, accessible series where people can just get marketing tips and tools for, at or around $20. So the books cover email marketing, product launch, social media, and brand identity, and then there are blueprints that help you walk through these processes and help you think differently about them so you can apply the strategies to your specific brand. I didn't want to, give people like a one-size-fits-all approach. So, if you were to pick up the books, you wouldn't get that impression. But, you can walk right in them. You can work through them. They have step-by-step. They have activities. They have checklists. So they're all-encompassing guides to helping you kind of move your brand forward. And the goal of it is to create a whole suite of programming, both in person and online, that aids entrepreneurs in getting the marketing expertise in particular. I mean, there'll be some business development stuff as well, but primarily all of it surrounds marketing. So we have the ebooks out right now. I'm looking forward to releasing a few new courses over the duration of the year. And those will be, online courses, recordings, and things like that, as well as probably a few new ebooks in 2018. So there'll be a whole lineup of products in the next, 2 years, 12 to 18 months. So you could just be on the lookout for those things. And, I facilitate some workshops as well and some events. So please keep your eye out for that.
Excellent, excellent. And this is not a dig at any at marketing or anything like that, but I just want people to kind of I want you to explain to people why it's important, right? Why is this marketing and marketing your brand? So could you tell us, tell the audience why is marketing and getting your brand and building your brand name, why is that important?
Well, I think people need to remember that just because you build it doesn't mean they'll come. I think a lot of people, I'm guilty of it myself, we get so wrapped up in our idea babies that we're just like, okay, if I build this thing, it's going to be the best thing ever. Everybody's going to want it.
Right.
Like, they'll organically find me, and that's not necessarily true. More content is being produced than ever now. Now that it's easier for us as consumers to actually start producing content as well. People are being inundated with ideas, products, services, solutions all throughout the day. So learning how to cut through that clutter so that a consumer can build a relationship and identify with you is one of the most critical things you could ever learn to do for your business. It's one of the best things you could do for yourself, really, like really learning that process about what your business is, what it stands for, and where you want to go with it. It'll save you a lot of time and a lot of money if you can identify those processes very early on.
Excellent. And that's excellent explanation. I definitely appreciate that. So tell me, you've been involved in Blerdology and organizing hackathons targeting African Americans and other endeavors involving Africa and African diaspora. Why are you so passionate about this? Why are you so passionate about making sure that the black community gets involved in tech entrepreneurship?
Well, I think, a couple different reasons, right? One, I think, African Americans and just black people in general are some of the most innovative, resilient people on the planet, and I think we haven't always afforded the opportunity to capitalize, pursue, and monetize our dreams and our aspirations and our visions. And with the introduction of the internet, it levels that playing field. Like, if you have access, then you can be a part of the new innovation economy. And I think a lot of the problems that stem in our community are economic. We aren't always able to, pursue the things that we want as a result of a lack of financial freedom. But if you can build the things that you want and you can figure out how to market and monetize them, then that could create a whole new life for you, for your family, for generations of people to come. And it can dynamically transform communities, right? So if one person in that community is supported by the community, let's say, if hypothetically someone wanted to start a tech startup, and everyone was like, okay, everyone in that community said, well, I'm going to put money into your venture. You're going to give me equity back. People have a vested interest in the advancement of this project, right? And then if that project takes off, then people are able to, that founder is now able to employ people in that neighborhood and, give them options as far as where the trajectory of their life is concerned. So I think it's a lot deeper than, people just, getting people involved in STEM, right? Like, it's about changing our livelihood. It's about giving us options. It's about financial freedom. It's about creating the future that we want to see for ourselves. and defining that for ourselves as opposed to letting people define it for us. We over-index on mobile. We over-index on social platforms. It's time for us to start producing things for ourselves as opposed to letting people define what's best for us, what we need, or what that should look like.
Yeah, and so that last line to me is so it hits home for me so much because and here's the reason. Not only is that applicable in entrepreneurship, but on so many other levels. And I talk to people, and these can be political discussions. I had a political discussion with an acquaintance of mine, and this, we're opposite sides of the aisle when it comes to politics, and this person made a comment about why his ideology was better for black people or minorities in general. And I just thought that it was I thought it was insulting, right? Because you're basically telling us that we can't discern for ourselves and that you need to tell us, right? Like, to me, that's insulting. That you think that you know what's best. Basically, you're saying that we're being duped by the ideology that we choose, and you know better than us, even though you're not a person of color, and that makes no sense. So, in that sense, it was you're trying to choose for us, and that's silliness. And so, that touches on on a political level. It also touches, I talk to people about who we represent, who we represent when people say geek or people say nerd, right? And what images that conjure up, and basically you shouldn't let those words define who you are or who we are. As black people in tech, right? Like we should be defining that, but on all levels. And when it comes to technology, that's why platforms like Blacks in Technology exist, because we need to be in control of that. We need to be in control of that narrative when it comes to who we are, how we want to be represented, what the images are, and put out there, and that all comes to head with with economics. We need to be taking control of that. We should not be sitting up here waiting for somebody else to tell us, or give us whatever. We should take it, and that's just how I feel about it. If technology, evens this playing field, so to speak, as far as the us being able to build and innovate, and that's something that we should be defining for ourselves and not allowing others to do it for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us what's next for you. You have the game app coming out. What else is happening?
Yeah, so the game is coming out soon. That's first priority. And then I'll be sprinkling out little products from under the Spann company umbrella for the rest of the year. So you can expect a course on startup PR. You can expect some stuff on content marketing and really, carving out your messaging and articulating value to your customers. So a lot of certain different courses, a personal branding course. So all different things surrounding marketing so that, you have affordable, accessible tools that you can build your brand with. So I'll be releasing those over the course of the year. And maybe throwing some events. I'm still doing Happy Hour every other month here in Chicago. We have the next one coming up in April, late April. We may be doing some events in D.C., and just, making appearances, speaking facilitating workshops on marketing, branding, ideation for entrepreneurs. So, same thing, different day, different, sometimes it manifests a little differently. It looks a little different, but it's all underlying. It's about helping, people actualize their dreams.
Excellent. And where are you at? Where are you at right now? Are you in Chicago or are you in D.C.?
Yeah, I'm based in Chicago right now, so,
Okay.
I move around a lot. So I was in Atlanta, then I was in D.C., and now I'm in Chicago.
Got you. Well, and before we get out of here, tell people how they can get in contact with you, how they can follow you, where they can find you on the internet.
Yeah, so if you are looking, if you're just looking to follow me on social media, find out what I'm talking about on my social channels, you can find me on Twitter at Amanda Spann. That's Spann with 2 N's, S as in Sam, P as in Paul, A as in Apple, N as in Nancy, N as in Nancy. Or you can find me on Instagram, which I update a lot more. It's the Amanda Spann, just T-H-E before Amanda Spann. And then if you are looking to check out my ebooks, you can find them at spannandcompany.com. So that's S as in Sam, P as in Paul, A as in Apple, N as in Nancy, N as in Nancy, and company.com.
Excellent. Well, Amanda, I definitely want to thank you for joining us tonight on the Bit Tech Talk podcast, and want to congratulate you on all your successes and say good luck to you on all your future successes. So if there's anything that Blacks in Technology can do in helping you to, get any of your apps featured or anything like that, if you're doing an event, let us know. We definitely like to help promote it.
All right, for sure. Definitely. I'll definitely keep you in the loop about everything that I have going on. And thank you so much for taking out the time to feature my project.
You're welcome, and thank you. Take care.
All right. You have a great one. Bye-bye.
You too. That is it for this episode of the Blacks in Technology Bit Tech Talk podcast. I want to thank our guest, Amanda Spann. Definitely a great story. Has a lot of great things going on. Definitely check her websites out and her apps. Download them, use them, support her, yeah, definitely. We had a great discussion. She dropped a lot of good knowledge on us. And until next time, remember, tech yourself before you wreck yourself. Take care.
Blacks in Technology.
Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology. Blacks in technology.